New tonight, two powerful Republican chairmen of separate committees, Senators Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson, also want the Attorney General to investigate Democrats' connections to Ukraine. They want the DOJ to probe the DNC and Clinton campaign's political efforts in Ukraine back in 2016. The senators writing to the DOJ, Ukrainian efforts abetted by a U.S. political party to interfere in the 2016 election should not be ignored. One thing is clear tonight, President Trump is not giving up on getting to the bottom of why former special counsel Robert Mueller spent 2 years investigating his 2016 presidential campaign, only to find no evidence of Russian collusion. He told reporters months ago that he has tasked his Attorney General, Bill Barr, with getting to the bottom of the origins of the Russia probe, even if it means looking overseas. Listen.
He can look, and I hope he looks at the UK, and I hope he looks at Australia, and I hope he looks at Ukraine. I hope he looks at everything, because there was a hoax that was perpetrated on our country.
Let's turn to Fox News senior political analyst Brit Hume for a little analysis. Great to have you with us.
Thank you, Shannon.
Okay, but the headlines blaring today that this president has been pressuring foreign leaders to help him dig up dirt or to engage in all kinds of investigations. He said in May, in front of everyone, that's what he wanted to happen.
So once again, we have a big scoop that turns out to be not news. And even if it were news, it wouldn't be wrong. If the president has an investigation underway by his Justice Department or a prosecutor therein, as he does, and we've all known about this for a long time, and the president solicits cooperation with that investigation from a foreign power, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, my understanding is that that's kind of how it's done, that for the prosecutor to go directly to the foreign government without some kind of top-level intervention or introduction would be unusual. So for the president to ask for cooperation with the Attorney General and those working for him is perfectly appropriate as far as I can tell.
Well, and just about contemporaneously with that, in May, after the president made these statements, we have a letter that is dated May 28th from the Australian ambassador to the U.S. saying, we stand by ready to help you with any of these inquiries. We're at your service, we're going to cooperate with us. The DOJ also in a statement today making no efforts to hide any of this, saying a team led by U.S. Attorney John Durham, you mentioned, is investigating the origins of the U.S. counterintelligence probe of the 2016 presidential campaign. Mr. Durham is gathering information from numerous sources, including a number of foreign countries. There are those speculating tonight that there are some on the Hill worried about what the origins of the genesis will find, and this is sort of a getting ahead of it effort to discredit Durham.
Well, this is of a piece with some of the discussion we've been having for several days now about how investigations are labeled. Inquiries into Donald Trump are referred to as investigations. Inquiries in the past week's coverage or so that may involve former Vice President Biden are referred to as dirt digging. So now that's been carried over, it seems to me, into the idea that this inquiries into the origins of the 2016 drive to look into Trump on a counterintelligence basis are now also being treated as if they were illicit, improper dirt digging, which there's really no reason to believe.
And so folks are making a separation between these inquiries with Bill Barr, with the UK, with Australia, and that call that the president had with his Ukrainian counterpart. Here is what the Speaker of the House said when she was asked yesterday about this coming together to the level of impeachment.
Your Republican colleagues say, well, the call is the call, but there's nothing here that rises to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors.
Well, they're wrong. And it remains to be seen, because it's not just what happens in the call. It's part of the sequencing of events as well.
So she says you're wrong if you don't think this rises to the level of impeachment. It's not just about the call. It's about the sequencing of events around it. So how do you respond to the left who says, listen, if you just want to say the call, there's no quid pro quo there. There is a stream of actions by this president that they find do rise to the level of impeachable conduct.
Well, they need to state what those things are. Exactly what they are. And what this whole discussion here and what she just said suggests to me is that it has dawned on her, who started this impeachment inquiry before she'd seen the transcript of the phone call, the record of the phone call. She must recognize that it doesn't get there, that you can infer, if you choose to, things in the phone call that aren't explicitly said. But that doesn't prove the case. You can't just prove it by inference. I mean, it seems to me if you're going to impeach a president of the United States or even have an inquiry into whether you should do that, you need something more than things that you can extrapolate or infer from a conversation in which the things you're talking about weren't actually ever said. And that's the position the Democrats are in now.
So a number of subpoenas, depositions, hearings being scheduled. So we'll learn a lot more. Very quickly, I want to ask you about this letter from the Biden campaign saying to the number of television networks, stop booking Rudy Giuliani. They say, by giving him airtime, you're allowing him to introduce increasingly unhinged, unfounded, and desperate lies. They say, we write to demand that you no longer book Rudy Giuliani.
And they also note, do the Biden people, that journalists interviewing Giuliani have been calling him out on things that he says that the journalists believe are false, but they say that's not good enough, that they should shut him down altogether. My own view of that is that it is an outlandish request that any news organization should immediately set aside and ignore. My worry is that maybe they won't. That maybe even though this man is representing the President of the United States, right? He's his lawyer, and he's making claims. Well, people make claims all the time. Adam Schiff made claims for 2 years as the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee about all this evidence he had of collusion that, strangely enough, the special counsel did not find. So should he be shut down and not allowed to appear because he made a lot of wild, outlandish claims? I think he should be taken with a grain of salt, but I don't think he should be shut down, and I think it's crazy to ask that Giuliani be shut down.
Well, we have invited Chairman Schiff onto Fox News at Night numerous times. The door is open. He is always welcome to have this conversation. In the meantime, Brit, thank you for stopping in. Good to have you.